National Day Rally 2023 Housing Announcement. How will it impact the market? Hi, my name is Alan from Alan V Property. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to share what our Prime Minister announced during the National Day Rally on 20th August 2023. He mentioned three important housing plans. Firstly, including a new classification of flats to replace the matured and non-mature estate classification. Secondly, more housing options for single buyers. And thirdly, help Singaporeans age well in their home and precinct. HDB has engaged Singaporeans through the Forward Singapore engagement sessions over the past years. Singaporeans share that our public housing system should reflect the following values and priorities. Their home ownership for all. It should remain the key pillars for all Singaporeans. It should also be inclusive and remain affordable and more support to lower income households. Public flats should primarily remain for owner occupation and should be discouraged from excessive windfalls, especially for BTO flats. And lastly, they should be sustainable and affordable for future generations. HDB explained how the classification came about in 1992. Mature estates refer to estates where land for public housing development was limited yet demand was high, such as Bukit Merah, Toa Payoh, Marine Parade, and so on. Non-mature estate refer to estate where there was more land available for public housing development. These are usually less central, with fewer amenities, and are therefore more affordable price. Such towns include Choa Chu Kang, Yishun, Sengkang, Punggol, and others. Going forward, HDB will differentiate BTO projects by their location attributes such as standard, plus, or prime flats. They will be located within Singapore and broadly into three regions: North, Northeast, East, West, and Central. Standard flat will come with the standard subsidies and standard restriction such as 5 years MOP. They are applied to all BTO flats. They will continue to form the bulk of the housing supply. They are located island-wide. Plus flats, which is a new category of flats, will be in choicest locations within each region across Singapore, such as nearer to the MRT station or town centre. For example, new flats in upcoming Bayshore, Bedok South MRT area. This kind of location, I also want to stay. Near East Coast Park, near Bedok Town, near Marine Parade, near Jewel. The best part, low frills, affordable, spacious, and practical design public flats. What else can I ask more for? Anyway, these flats will come with more subsidized and tighter restrictions compared to the standard BTO flats. They will have 10 years of MOP. On the other hand, prime flats are in the choicest location within Singapore, usually closest to the city centre. They will come with the most subsidies across the three categories and will have the tightest conditions such as 10 years MOP. These flats are currently offered under the Prime Location Public Housing PLH model. Currently, first-time singles aged 35 years and above are allowed to apply for new 2-room flexi flats in only non-matured estates or buy resale flats in any estate except those under the PLH model. With the new classification, eligible first-time singles can first apply for 2-room flexi BTO flats in all locations across standard, plus, and prime housing projects. Secondly, they can buy a standard or plus flat of any size except 3-gen flats in the resale market. Thirdly, they can buy a 2-room flexi prime flat in the resale market. What does all this mean? In short, the government has listened to the people and become more inclusive, which is a good thing. Singles, like any family nucleus, are given more housing options. They can also buy a flat that is nearer to their aging parents, who are most likely living in mature estates. However, this will lead to more singles applying for BTO flats instead, especially those in prime location. This will indirectly result in less demand for 3- and 4-room HDB resale flat, which are traditionally the preferred choice for singles. Will this affect the price of resale flat for this segment? I think the impact will be minimum, but I don't rule them out in the long term. Let's study the details of the new plus flats. As usual, the income ceiling for the new plus flat is capped at 14,000 for families. Single income is also capped at 7,000 per month. They are standard subsidized to standard flats. More subsidies to plus flats and the more subsidies to prime flat. What does this mean? When HDB is selling you BTO flats, they are already priced cheaper to the resale market. For example, this is the resale flat price for the 4-room flat in Bedok Central. They are already fetching 800,000 in the resale market. HDB has launched a BTO flat in Bedok South. Let's say the average price is 500,000. This is easily 60% cheaper than resale flats. When HDB say they give more subsidies to plus flats, it means they are selling you cheaper as compared to resale flats. They cannot sell it to you too high, else many will not be able to afford it. This will only lead to well-to-do enclaves, as what PM said in his rally speech. When people cannot afford it, they will make their point in the ballot box. This is a tricky issue. On the other hand, HDB cannot be selling you too cheap, right? What if you can get it and others don't? It's not fair, right? That is why HDB say it must be a fair system. If HDB sell you too cheap and you make more than double in the resale market, this means HDB is a 菜头. Anyway, who is going to pay for the modular package? The money has to come from somewhere. You get what I mean? To mitigate excessive windfall gains and ensure equity with other flat owners who do not enjoy these additional subsidies, HDB mentioned subsidies recovery upon resale of such flats. For those they are still confused what is subsidies recovery, in my own word, this is called capital gain tax. When you sell a HDB flat, they will ask you to pay tax based on your selling price. For prime flat in virtual BTO flats, these flats are already subjected to a 6% clawback upon resale. Going forward, HDB will also impose such clawbacks for all plus and prime flat. The next question is, if you are planning to buy such flats, can buy or buy? Well, that really depends on your age and definition of opportunity cost. If you are in your mid-20s, say 25 years old, you apply for either plus or prime flat. By the time you take your keys, you will be 30 years old. After the 10 years MOP, you will be 40 years old. Thereafter, you can start your investment journey by buying a private property. You will still have a good 25 years old runway to invest, as the maximum age to borrow is capped at 65 years old. However, if you are the second timer of 40 years old when you apply for the plus or prime flat, after collecting the keys, you will likely be 45 years old. Another 10 years later, you will be 55 years old. How to invest in private property with only 10 years left? I think the party is already half over. You can 放刚了. However, if you still want to buy, you can consider using your children's names and co-own them together. Now you will see the value of having children. HDB also restrict renting out whole flats if you are staying in a plus or prime flat. This means you still can buy a private property and pay the prevailing ABSD, but you must continue to stay in your HDB flat. This will also set a dampener to such flats when they hit the resale market. Indirectly, this will lead to fewer private buyers in the midterm because they are all stuck in the MOP. How will the price fare for plus flat when they hit the resale market? With so many restrictions, such as only Singaporeans can buy, 30 months wait-out period for private property owners, 14,000 income ceiling for both family and singles, and lastly, a 10 years MOP. I think many potential buyers will be turned away by it. This will also indirectly limit the price appreciation. However, this flat will appeal to those looking at what I call the last mile home, or especially those who are staying in private properties who are keen to downgrade to a low-frills HDB flats. With an aging population, I believe this is a significant group that will move from the private market to a plus HDB resale flat. Lastly, HDB to help Singaporeans age well in their home and precinct. They will expand ease enhancement for active seniors program to further enhance mobility and comfort for senior residents within their homes. They will upgrade precinct to include more senior-friendly features and launch more community care apartments, which integrate senior-friendly housings with customized care service to enable seniors to age in place. In short, more studio flats for senior to encash their HDB flats. When they move to senior flats, they will need to sell their existing flats, right? What can we conclude here? Public housing should primarily be for owner occupation. It should be affordable for future generations. Maintain a good social mix and keep the system fair, as what PM said. I totally agree with the PM on this. HDB built very affordable, spacious and practical homes for Singaporeans. I always think they are even better than some private condos. Their only limitation is a policy in place, such as MOP, to ownership of private properties. If you are still planning to buy a BTO flat, I think buying a standard flat is still the best bet. If you have plans to upgrade to a private property in future, both Plus and Prime will be a place we can always call home. Back to the impact to the HDB resale market. Single now have more option to buy new BTO flats. Young couple will surely go for standard to Plus to Prime BTO flats. Senior will also buy community care apartments BTO flats. Going forward, I just wonder who will buy your HDB resale flat in future? Give me some thoughts if I make sense. Anyway, if you have plans to sell a HDB flat, you can always give me a call. That's all. See you around soon.